Hello fellow RC enthusiasts, it's your host Tom Cogswell again with another Spektrum RC video. In this video we are going to upgrade a SCX10 Trail Honcho. Normally these come with tactical equipment such as this Tactic TTX300, but really I want to upgrade to something that's programmable, something that feels better than the hand, and just something that's better. So with this project we have a number of different radios we could choose from. A lot of them come with a receiver that you need, or you could upgrade to one of our other receivers, as I'm going to do here. In this video I'm going to use a DX5C, this guy right here, and I'm going to install a SR315 receiver. So this is our tiny little receiver. It's got a bind button on it, really handy, has an extra channel if I want to use it for white lights or a winch or something like that. Really all I need is 2 channels for this setup here. And then I'm going to upgrade the servo. I have a plethora of servos out here on the table, ranging from air to heli and surface. For this one, I'm going to use a fairly middle of the road air servo. We are going to use the A6380 servo. Now one thing that some people might get a little confused on is can I use an air servo or a heli servo in X? Like in my heli or my truck. Really, it depends on your application. You're going to look at the specs, the speed and things like that you're trying to get for. Now we'd categorize them as surface and air and heli to kind of make it easier for you to find out what you're going to need. But in this application, I really like the A6380 servo. This guy here, strong servo, Metal Gear servo, very affordable, and it's standard size, so it's going to drop right into this guy here. We could go with an S6020. That's also another great servo for this sort of application. This guy right here. But really, it's up to you. We could go with, you know, if you really want to go high end, you could get something like the brushless servo line that we've got here. You could go with the S6240 or the RX version, which I have sitting here. All great servos. Check them out on our website. I'll have a list of recommended servos for this build in the description below, and also a link to the radios that you see on the table here. And then beyond servo, what I'm going to use today in this build is I'm going to upgrade the battery to a Spektrum 2-cell 50C 500 milliamp hard case pack. Awesome batteries. If you guys don't know what smart is, what rock have you been living under? But really, the smart technology is the way to go for any kind of surface application because they maintain themselves, they're great packs, and they're just easy to use. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and install my DX5C, get it all programmed up for this guy, get rid of this Tactic radio. Don't need that anymore. All right, so we're down at the bench, and number one, first thing that we need to do, because I am changing the connector, or changing my battery rather, to a Spektrum Smart battery, I do need to change the connector on here. We're out to this old-fashioned star battery or star connector here. We're going to change it to a IC3 connector like I have here. So we're going to get out my trusty toolkit. This guy, we'll snip this guy off. Don't need that anymore. And get my little soldering iron out. So if you guys are wanting to change your old-fashioned star connector to an IC3 connector, it's something that I strongly recommend. It's a great connector, and it is backward compatible with the EC3 connector. So if you have EC3 batteries, you're good to go on those. And get my soldering iron going here. All right, now that we got that done, we just take the sleeve and snap it on the end, like so. There we go. So change that over to IC3. Next up is changing out the receiver. So this is the receiver box here. We're gonna need, at least for this application, it looks like a 2mm. So I got my trusty blade 2mm. Oh, that's a 2.5. Grab my 2mm. There she is. Okay, so get that in there. This SCX10 has been well loved, but it's time to give her a refresh. The receiver we're going to put in should give us a good amount more range than the Tactic one did, and it's going to be able to run with more friends at the same time. You know, with those, some of the RTR radios, you can't really run with that many people at the one time. So Spektrum, we've got that, at least on our DSMR and DSMX side, in spades, because you can run literally hundreds of trucks at the same time. Okay, let's figure out which one of these is a servo first too. So let's get that servo installed. Okay, so we'll flip her on over. We'll get to this servo here. I see, okay. And that one is a 2mm as well. Now, one of the reasons I'm going to replace and upgrade my servo is because this one has just gotten kind of weak. I mean, in the beginning, it wasn't all that strong. It was adequate. And in crawling, you got to have a nice, strong servo. It doesn't need to be anything especially fast, but strength is always key because you want it to be able to push through and over on top of different obstacles while you're turning. Let's say you got like a rock that's right in front of you and you need to get over it. A weak servo, it's just going to push the tire up against it and then stall. With this guy, with the servo we're putting in there, it'll be a lot better. Now, I'm not confident that the servo arm is going to fit our new servo, but I did bring an extra servo arm. And a lot of these servos will come with an arm set that you might be able to use. All right, let's see if this servo arm will fit my new servo. Okay, like I said, I'm going to use an A6380 servo. It's a 25 tooth spline. Okay, so you can put a little number on there for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade to a metal arm here. I've got an aluminum arm that we make in the Spektrum brand. These are really nice servo arms. You can use them for air and surface applications. And this is just an example of doing this on an axial truck. Like I was saying, you can do this on many different trucks that come with a radio system that you want to put on either a Spektrum radio that you already have, or you want to upgrade to Spektrum. And one big reason to upgrade to Spektrum, beyond being able to run with more people at one time, is the ability to save multiple models onto just one radio, where instead of like when you go out trail honchoing or bashing or just go out crawling and you bring all it's kind of cumbersome having to pull out 6 transmitters for your 6 different trucks. So what's great about Spektrum is we've got model match technology, which means you change your model memory over to another one. You don't have to rebind or anything or change have the same receiver and all of them. It just recognizes that receiver when you change over to it, that truck, and it just automatically connects for you. You don't have to do anything special. It essentially learns an ID per receiver, and then that's per model memory on your radio. So you can get your radio set up for more than one. Up to, with the 5C, I think it's 20 models. Yeah, you've got 20 models on the 5C. So we've got this out of here. Tactic servo, gone, don't need it. All right, so now that we've got that on there, we're gonna feed our A6380 servo in there. And like I said, we're gonna change our arm. Throw our aluminum arm on here. Nice and spiffy. It actually threads right into the M3 screw that they included with it. That's nice, very convenient. Okay, so next step is, and this is an important step, is to center your servo. So you want to center it up and then slip our arm onto it. Okay, so to center our servo, normally one thing you could do is take your receiver and plug it in and bind it up and power it on and put the servo to center, but I'm going to use our handy dandy smart checker here. So this guy here is our smart battery checker. It also has a servo driver on it, which is really handy because you can set it up, use it for setups like this where you just plug in a servo. So we're going to plug in our servo here. Just watching the polarity. It's not going to hurt anything if you plug it in wrong. It's just not going to work. And we'll just take any battery that we can plug into the side here. And we can go to Servo Tester, right there. And it centered our servo. We can even cycle the servo. We can make it go back and forth on its own, you know, kind of test our throws and see what we're doing. It even gives you a milliamp reading so you know what kind of amperage the servo is pulling at that time. So we go ahead and got it centered. We'll leave it plugged in while we cinch up our servo arm here, just so that it's ready to go. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think we can work around that. All right, so we got our servo installed. Next up is our receiver. So like the last one, we got a receiver box here. We'll plug in our throttle, which is what we have here. Nice that we changed the servo. Now we know which wire is which, right? And we're going to look for throttle. Actually, we'll plug steering in first since she's first in line. And I'm going to have it so my antenna just pops out the back of this little clasp here. We'll fold everything down in there. And we'll plug a battery into it to get her bound up. Let's see if this will work. I love that. You can just press that button at any time and she'll put her in bind mode. We'll grab our DX5C here. Power on. And we'll bind her up to this model here. Ding dong. So we got the servo, we got the receiver plugged in. We got we've got a IC3 connector thrown on there. And let's just strap the battery in to kind of complete the job, just to make sure she fits. I know it will, but one of the things that you want to do is make sure when you're buying batteries that it's the right size. Luckily, Axial uses a standard size. Oh, throttle's reversed. And look at that. Nice and strong and fast. Love it. Cool. All right, let's put the receiver box back on top. Oh, need that rubber gasket. Put this rubber gasket back in there like that. And then if I was going to be going any kind of distance, I'd probably take this antenna and put it in a tube. But really with these new receivers, they have great reception. So I'm just going to go with how it is. Because this is a trail trekker, you usually are walking beside it, right? So, but that's another benefit of Spektrum. At least with these new receivers and everything, you got pretty decent range, but even better response. And then you got the added advantage of model match technology. You've got a radio that's got some phenomenal ergonomics that are designed and inspired by our racing team, Team Losi Racing. And you've got programmability, you've got mixing, you've got switches that you can use to turn on lights and off and on if you have a controller for that. What's left to do is just to go into the radio and program everything. We have to reverse the throttle, it looks like, and then we have to reverse our steering. Yeah, I will reverse the steering as well. But beyond that, I think we're pretty much ready to rock. And there you have it, fellow RC enthusiasts, and that's how easy it is to upgrade your RTR truck to Spektrum technology and get rid of that outdated and uncomfortable RTR transmitter and get something that's really nice, goes the distance, and works with every model. So we just upgraded our servo, our radio, and our receiver, and we threw in a little extra aluminum arm just for an added touch, and we're good to go. Thanks for watching this video. If you guys have any questions or you want to share what you guys have upgraded to Spektrum, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and thanks for watching.